Director of the Caribbean Export Development Agency, Mr. Joanne Nadal Sastre, First Counselor and Head of Cooperation EU Delegation to Guyana, Suriname, and Caribbean Overseas Countries and Territories, Honorable Aneej Waldron, Minister of Tourism, Industry and Commerce, Honorable Dr. Ashni Singh, Minister of Finance, Honorable Yu Todd, Minister of Foreign Affairs and International Cooperation, Dr. Peter Ramsarup, Chief Investment Officer, Guyana Office for Investment, Ms. Joellen Laurier, Manager of Partnerships, Advocacy and Reporting, Caribbean Export Development Agency, members of the Diplomatic Corps, Mr. Venus Frith, General Manager, Credit Platinum Sponsor, Republic Bank, representatives of our gold sponsor, Virgin Atlantic, silver sponsor, G&A Group, and bronze sponsor, Exim Bank, Trinidad and Tobago, members of our distinguished partners, the government of the Cooperative Republic of Guyana, the European Union, the Caribbean Export Development Agency, and the CARICOM Secretariat, potential exhibitors, investors, and sponsors, special invitees from the public and private sectors, members of the media, ladies and gentlemen present here at the Marriott Hotel, and our over 300 virtual attendees. A very good morning to you, as we would say here in Guyana, what's going on? Everything good? I hope you are doing excellently on this wonderful Wednesday morning. I'm Nuri A. Gerard, Guyana's Media Maven, Director of Eloquent Guyana Incorporated, and this morning, I also have the pleasure of serving as your Master of Ceremony. Now, I confidently speak on behalf of all our partners, sponsors, and stakeholders when I say that we are elated to officially launch the Caribbean Investment Forum here in Guyana. Now, if you have a Guyanese friend or relative, then you already know we do not shy away from hosting a guest. If you say, I'm paying you a visit, you best believe we're cleaning the house from top to bottom. We're calling the friend who's really good at making chicken curry and say, cook a pot of chicken curry. The other one who knows how to make a good roti or puri, and we're saying, make me some roti and puri because I've got some guests coming over. And of course, we're doing all of this so that our visitors can feel welcome. And at the Caribbean Investment Forum, it's going to be no different. We welcome you with open arms to our one Guyana, land of many waters, natural resources, and of course, a land that is rich in diversity, rich in culture, rich in creativity, and rich in commercial products. We are looking forward to hosting you at this year's Caribbean Investment Forum. If you've never had the privilege of traveling to our shores, then this event provides the perfect opportunity for you to book a flight to the home of the fastest growing economy in the world. This year's forum will be staged at the Arthur Chung Conference Centre from the 10th to the 12th of July under the theme, Transforming Futures, Empowering Growth. Over the next 60 minutes or so, we are going to garner a profound understanding of how the Caribbean Investment Forum 2024 serves to elevate the region's profile as an investment destination, attract investment to accelerate the region's transition to a greener and smarter economy, and also bridge the gap between investors and businesses. And I know what you're thinking. That sounds like a colossal task. And to be completely honest, it is. However, it is a vision we are positioned to achieve owing to the generous support of our partners and sponsors. So it'd be remiss of me to not sincerely express gratitude to the government of Guyana, to the Caribbean Export Development Agency, to the European Union, and the CARICOM Secretariat for their participation in this event. And of course, once again, to our generous sponsors, our platinum sponsor, Republic Bank, our silver sponsors, our G&A Group, our gold sponsors, Virgin Atlantic, and our bronze sponsor, Exim Bank, Trinidad and Tobago. At this juncture, we have our first speaker coming to welcome and offer opening remarks to us. This person is a respected professional who's championed the development agenda of the Caribbean region by spearheading trade and investment initiatives for the Commonwealth and advocating for the private sector's role in sustainable development. He currently leads a regional trade and investment promotion agency that was established in 1996 by CARICOM to enhance the competitiveness, diversification, and resilience of Caribbean economies. Ladies and gentlemen, please help me welcome Executive Director of the Caribbean Export Development Agency, Mr. Deodat Maharaj.
Good morning, everybody. Thank you so much, Master of Ceremonies, Honorable Onish Walron, Minister of Tourism, Industry and Commerce, members of the Diplomatic Corps. I recognize the High Commissioner from my country, Trinidad and Tobago, His Excellency Conrad Enel, Deputy High Commissioner from La República Dominicana, Deputy Ambassador, my dear friend and colleague, Joan Nadal Sastre, Head of Development Cooperation at the European Union, our board member and Chief Investment Officer from Go Invest, Dr. Peter Ramsarup, members of the business community, specially invited guests, members of the media, and of course more than 300 people who are joining us from Africa, Asia, South America, Central America, North America, who are joining us virtually. Good morning, good afternoon, and good night. For me, it's a real pleasure to be back here in Guyana, a place that's very close to my heart, and a country with which I've had a very close association. If I say the number of years, you could guess my age, but more than 25 years I've had an association with Guyana, and I have traveled the length and breadth of this country, and I was telling my High Commissioner that the warmest people in the Caribbean, without a doubt, even coming from a Trini, are Guyanese. I mean, Guyanese welcome you, they make you feel at home, and their hospitality, your hospitality, knows no limits. So for me, it's a real pleasure to be here. This time around, I cannot go down to the Rupununi. I just missed the rodeo in Latam, Minister. I can't go down to Mabaruma, but I love this place and I love getting out of Georgetown, and a great pleasure to be here. And I recognize our dear friend and colleague, ASG Cox, from the CARICOM Secretariat. I am delighted to be here for the launch of the Caribbean Investment Forum 2024. And what is the Caribbean Investment Forum? Joel and my colleague would unpack it. But what we have done, we have created a unique platform for business, to engage with business, to create business. In other words, less talk, more business. The first iteration of the Caribbean Investment Forum took place in Trinidad and Tobago, and this came at the tail end of the COVID pandemic. And people were saying, why have a Caribbean Investment Forum in the Caribbean? Nobody would show up. Because the traditional mindset, and Dr. Ramsarup knows this, is that for investment promotion, we must do this in Toronto, we must do this in Ottawa, in New York, in London, and far-flung places. And of course we must do that, we must continue to do that. But the place to talk about trade and investment should be the Caribbean as well. And at the first Caribbean Investment Forum that took place in Trinidad and Tobago over the period 9th to the 11th of November 2022, we stopped registration at 600. The response was overwhelming from 47 countries. 90% of the participants, well, guess what, were businesses and investors from overseas. The second iteration of the Caribbean Investment Forum that we did in collaboration, again with the European Union, CARICOM and our other partners, including Republic Bank, took place over the period 23rd to 25th of November last year in the Bahamas. And guess what? We were stunned again. We had over 500 participants, 92% were business people and investors from around 45 countries. I don't know how President Ali, as you all know, is very active and very engaged nationally, regionally, as the current chair of CARICOM, and globally as well. And he had invited me for breakfast in July at the time of the EU CELAC summit in Brussels. And he said, Deodat, what's wrong going on with this Caribbean Investment Forum? I said, Excellency, what are you talking about? He said, I heard you getting a lot of people, and what about Guyana? I said, what do you mean, what about Guyana? He said, Guyana would like to host the next iteration. I said, okay. He said, when can we do it? I said, well, we need time to plan excellence. He said, no, we need to do it as soon as possible. So the Caribbean Investment Forum for Guyana over the period 10th to the 12th of July was born out of a breakfast conversation in Brussels, Belgium. And we are delighted that Guyana is hosting the Caribbean Investment Forum. Because what we have noticed as well is that at Caribbean Export, what we do in our job to promote trade globally and get investment in the region, we focus on three things. One, getting results. Two, getting results. And I guess you could figure out the third minister, getting results. So less talk, more business. And therefore, we have a forensic focus on getting the right people at the table. So we are delighted that in Trinidad and Tobago, we actually got investors where investments have been made. I mean, we have gotten investments to Dominica, to St. Lucia. The private ferry service that we saw advertised recently was born out of a conversation in the Bahamas at the time of the Caribbean Investment Forum last year. So more business, less talk. But what about CIF 2024? What is this Caribbean Investment Forum 2024? We believe that it is pointless for us to exist as Caribbean Export unless we drive an agenda that's transformational in nature. So we are keen to focus on sectors that could really drive transformation of our region. And what are the three sectors? One, a green economy transition. Getting investments in this area is vital for our region. I mean, the piece of data I use is the IDB ILO study that concluded that a green economy transition will result in 400,000 additional jobs for our region. And these are high-paying jobs. So, and this is recognizing our climate vulnerability, but the opportunity and the massive opportunities that can be provided with a green economy transition. So we are committed to focusing on this sector at CIF 2024. Second area, and this is a natural fit for Guyana, is agtech and agriculture. We know of the mission of our region to reduce our food import bill by 25% in the year 2025. Personally, I believe it is possible, but with the understanding that we leverage technology in agriculture. So we are not focusing at Caribbean Export and getting investments across the board. We can't do that as an agency. But we are focusing on getting investments in the area of technology to boost agriculture, because the rest of the region isn't blessed like Guyana, Belize, Suriname, Guyana, Trinidad and Tobago, and maybe Jamaica. And therefore, think about lettuce being planted vertically in a skyscraper instead of planted on the ground using hydroponics technology and vertical farming. So leveraging technology in agriculture is critical, and we are committed to getting investors in this particular sector. The third sector for us that we are keen to focus on is innovation, digitalization, and technology. And why is that so important? I mean, Danny Roderick, writing in the New York Times, I think yesterday, spoke about the traditional export-led models being out of sync in the present world reality. When you look at what's happening, the traditional export model is about creating jobs through manufacturing. But China already is producing 1/3 of the world's manufacturing. And therefore, we have to focus on a premium product on a good side for a premium market at a premium price. So Guyanese and Caribbean people, Joe, ASG Cox, we know about El Dorado rum. Peter gives it every time he sees me. And I haven't gotten any today, Peter, right? But that's like a premium product. Or Trinitario cocoa. Trinidad and Tobago cocoa, the Trinitario brand, is among the top 2% of the world in terms of quality. So again, it's a premium product for a premium market at a premium price. But we need to leverage technology and innovation so we can translate that into high-paying jobs in the services sector. And we are looking for investments in this particular sector. And that's why I like the vision of President Ali. The first time together, we spent a week in Dubai doing a Caribbean Investment Forum and promoting the Caribbean as a place for investment in a market that we traditionally haven't gone to. And President Ali spoke about coding and school children in Guyana doing coding. And that's the future of our region, and we need to leverage our knowledge. We have a fantastic university system, University of the West Indies, UG. We have qualified technical people, and therefore for us, how do we leverage technology and innovation and digitalization to create jobs and opportunity for our people? So SIF 2024 is going to focus on these sectors: green economy transition, innovation, digitalization and technology, and 3, agriculture, but more specifically, leveraging technology and agriculture. And Guyana also leads the agriculture group, since President Ali leads on agriculture for heads, and Minister Mustafa leads a ministerial group on agriculture. For us at the Caribbean Export Development Agency, I said it's more about business and less about talk, so I should finish shortly. But I can't finish without thanking our partners, the European Union, President Ali, who has really been fantastic in supporting us, Minister Waldron and her team, Dr. Ram Sarup and his team, ASG Cox, who sits on our steering committee for the Caribbean Investment Forum, and CARICOM, which is a valuable partner of ours, and of course, Republic Bank, Exim Bank of Trinidad and Tobago, and others who have been partners and took a risk with us. And now we have a Caribbean Investment Forum that's really oversubscribed and moving to a different level. So as we seek to advance a truly transformational agenda for our region, to create jobs and opportunity for our people, I can't think, honestly, of a better place to convene the Caribbean Investment Forum 2024 than Guyana. So thank you so very much.
Thank you so much, Mr. Maharaj, for that warm welcome and those opening remarks, and for co-signing that Guyanese are, in fact, one of the most hospitable people in the region. Now, when you participate in the Caribbean Investment Forum 2024 as an investor, you're not just signing up for another conference. You're, in fact, positioning yourself to discover bankable investment projects in the Caribbean, meet high-level decision makers, realize the positive impact of your portfolio, and much, much more. We will soon hear from Ms. Joellen Larrier on all of the benefits that investors stand to gain by participating in this year's Caribbean Investment Forum. Of course, you can pre-register right now as an exhibitor or investor, and if you're also interested in learning more about how you can partner as a sponsor, we invite you to visit CaribbeanInvestmentForum.com. You can do so by manually typing in that into your search engine, or at some point during our live webinar, you will see a QR code pop up on your screen, and you are also free to scan that, and it will take you to that website. From his early humanitarian mission in Sudan with the Spanish Red Cross to his diplomatic observations in Bosnia with the OSCE, our next speaker has consistently exhibited a passion for positive change. Over the last 2 decades, his multifaceted expertise, strategic leadership, and deep-rooted commitment to humanitarianism have positioned him as a respected figure in the realms of diplomacy and global cooperation. Please help me welcome our second speaker for today, Mr. Joanne Nadal Sastry, First Counselor and Head of Cooperation at the EU Delegation to Guyana, Suriname, and the Caribbean Overseas Countries and Territories.
Good morning, everyone. Honorable Minister Onecha Walram, Mr. Deodat Maharaj, Executive Director, Caribbean Export Agency, Mr. Peter Ramsarup from Guyana Investment Office, High Commissioner, members of the Diplomatic Corps, members of the media, representative of private sector organizations, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of Ambassador Van Ness, who's currently out of the country, it is a pleasure for me to be here today, and I wish to offer my appreciation to the government of Guyana, which has decided to host this third edition of the Caribbean Investment Forum. We are particularly glad that it takes place here in Guyana, and allow me to quote President Ali, Guyana is a country of many, it means a country of many waters, but it also means a country of many opportunities, and as he says regularly, Guyana is open for business. We witnessed that back in November with a very successful trade mission that we organized together with our friends and colleagues from different private sector organizations, Guyana, Georgetown Chamber of Commerce, GMSA, and also the Private Sector Commission. I'm glad to see a representative here today. That mission was really successful. There were 24 European companies from 8 countries, and guess what? 95 of them confirmed a few months later when we asked them for feedback. 95 of them confirmed that they are moving ahead, investing in the country, creating jobs, changing, and having, a mutual benefit. So definitely, this is the place to be nowadays, and it has been said. You read the New York Times, Financial Times, anywhere where you read, Guyana is certainly the place to be, and as such, the Caribbean region. As the European Union, we are proud to be part of this exciting annual event that brings together business investors and policymakers to explore the wide range of initiatives available across the Caribbean in transformative sectors. This was mentioned early on by Mr. Maharaj. We are proud to do so through our close partnership with the Caribbean Export Development Agency, with whom we are working hand in hand to drive Caribbean economic transformation and private sector development. The Caribbean and the European Union enjoy a long-standing partnership which is founded on shared values, common interests, and a strong economic, social, and cultural ties. To ensure that this precious partnership keeps growing stronger and stronger, the European Union launched in 2022 the Global Gateway Strategy. In simple words, the Global Gateway Strategy, and you can see the logo there somewhere, is the EU offer to connect Europe with the world. In particular, in the Caribbean, is the offer to bridge the Caribbean's investment gap and leverage private capital to boost innovative, sustainable, and transformative investment. We do so by using EU public financing to leverage private capital and investment for projects that deliver on key public policy objectives. And we do so in partnership with our partner countries, understanding the needs and looking for common solutions. One thing is clear: the European Union wants to do more business with the Caribbean. We want more EU companies to see the Caribbean as an investment opportunity. We want to be a key business partner for you, and we have a lot to put on the table. The EU investment offer combines hard infrastructure investment with flanking measures in the regulatory framework. We have, in the coming week, we will have experts on regulatory framework for the pharma industry, for instance, for health and pharma industry, just an example. Improving the business and investment environment, developing a human capital, and building together a more secure global supply chain. In addition, the EU puts at the disposal of partners countries the expertise brought about having a successful European single market, which ensures free movement of goods, services, capital, and persons for almost 500 million citizens. This market is, of course, accessible to the Caribbean countries through the free trade agreement that we signed in 2008, the Economic Partnership Agreement, which allows duty-free and quota-free access to this single market. Of course, the products and services need to meet certain standards and norms, and we have extensive technical and financial support programs to help Caribbean companies do precisely that. In fact, one of our main partners in this effort is precisely the Caribbean Export Development Agency, now under the leadership of Mr. Maharaj, with whom we are working to enhance trade and investment between the Caribbean and the EU. Again, quoting Mr. Maharaj, less talk and more business, so I want to extend myself in this welcome. I hope this event builds up on the results of previous Caribbean Investment Forum editions, and I wish to reiterate our full support. On behalf of Ambassador Van Ness, our gratitude to the government of Guyana for partnering with us on this endeavor, as well as CARICOM, of course. Thank you, and I wish you all a successful Caribbean Investment Forum 2024 here in Guyana.
Thank you so much, Mr. Sastre. Now, if you spend enough time with the Guyanese, you're sure to pick up on a few colloquialisms. One of my favorite is "one hand can't clap," and it simply speaks to the importance of collaboration. One of the greatest examples of regional collaboration is the establishment of the Caribbean Community and Common Market, CARICOM. The decision of our forward-thinking regional leaders to sign the Treaty of Chaguaramas in 1973 affords us the opportunity to share resources and expertise, increase access to foreign direct investment, develop policies that align with regional goals, and more. Our keynote speaker is one who holds a true appreciation for collaboration as a tool for regional growth. As the minister responsible for the advancement of Guyana's tourism industry and commerce, she's driven by her desire to deliver solutions to the challenges faced by businesses. Today, she aspires to enlighten us on the importance of resilience and sustainability in fostering prosperity in the Caribbean region. I invite you to help me welcome the Honorable Aneej Walrand, Minister of Tourism, Industry, and Commerce.
Thank you very much, MC. Mr. Deodat Maharaj, Executive Director, Caribbean Export Development Agency, Chief Executive Officer of the Guyana Office for Investment, Dr. Peter Ramsarup, representative of CARICOM, ASG Cox, and your other members of your team, delegation of the European Union, the 300 persons joining us virtually, the Permanent Secretary and the team from the Ministry of Tourism, Industry and Commerce, and the team from Office of the President, Ministry of Finance, members of the diplomatic community, distinguished speakers and guests, special invitees, media, ladies and gentlemen, good morning, good evening. It's a pleasure being here. I have been invited by the organizers to share some perspectives on the fostering resilient economies, integrating sustainable investment for Caribbean prosperity. This theme, I think, calls for some interrogation or deconstruction in order to facilitate an informed dialogue about what is required as we pursue our goal of sustainable development as a region. First, I think we must somehow have some broad consensus on what it is meant by the Caribbean prosperity, which the theme suggests is our ultimate objective. In other words, what is it that we desire for our Caribbean that we are working toward? We may all agree that prosperity in the individual sense is a state of being successful and thriving, especially as regards one economic or financial state. But I think we cannot seriously speak of being collectively prosperous without good health, without food or energy security, or without communities reasonably free of violence and crime. Neither can we speak of collective prosperity without the education and enlightenment that produces tolerant, inclusive, and cohesive societies which respect and indeed embrace our diversity. So for me, when I envision Caribbean prosperity, from the Bahamas, Cuba, Jamaica, Haiti, and the Dominican Republic in the north, to Belize in the west, to Barbados and the Eastern Caribbean, and to Trinidad, Guyana, and Suriname in the south, I see economically viable communities with healthy inhabitants living in harmony with each other. Turning to the concept of resilient economies, I rely on a definition of resilience from the United Nations, which I quote, it says, "The ability to return to a predetermined path of development in the shortest possible time after suffering from an adverse shock," close quote. The possible sources of such shocks to our economy include global economic events and natural disasters. As a region, most of our economies, being heavily concentrated in either tourism or commodities, are susceptible to economic shocks in global markets affecting these sectors. And without question, all of our economies are susceptible in varying degrees to natural disasters. With respect to economic shocks, some relatively recent phenomena are particularly instructive. One such was the financial crisis of 2008, which hit developed economies hard and saw the collapse of major financial institutions, especially in the UK and the United States. As households in these economies saw their savings and net worth eroded, they cut back on discretionary spending, including holidays to tourist destinations in the Caribbean. Heavily tourism-dependent economies were hit hard, and not only were revenues severely impacted, but investment slowed, exacerbating a vicious cycle of contraction in the industry. Another instructive event was the COVID-19 pandemic, the effects of which on global and by definition regional tourism needs no elaboration. Again, where economies are heavily concentrated in tourism, the pandemic had catastrophic economic consequences. As the region and the wider world started to exit the pandemic, we were confronted by the Russian-Ukraine war, which impacted global supply chains, driving up food prices for fuel, fertilizers, and some construction materials, among other things. A direct impact of this conflict was rising inflation across the globe, which of course the Caribbean could not escape. With respect to natural disasters, by many measures, our region, arguably the most vulnerable region in the world when it comes to susceptibility to disaster events. One study noted that in almost 7 decades between 1950 and 2018, some 511 disasters hit small states worldwide. Of those 511 disasters in almost 70 years, 334 were in the Caribbean. In terms of damage to crops, property, livestock, and the like, these disasters at their worst can exceed 200% of annual GDP, and as they did in Dominica after Hurricane Maria in 2017. In Grenada, more than 2 decades on, nutmeg production is yet to fully recover from the effects of Hurricane Ivan, which devastated the island in 2004. Here in Guyana in 2021, we experienced some of the worst flooding in our contemporary history, with unprecedented damage to crops and livestock, which threatened livelihoods of farmers in many communities, drove steep increases in prices of locally produced food supplies. It is estimated that almost 52,000 households were directly affected. Approximately 33,000 farmers and over 90,000 acres of farm and farmlands were impacted, with almost 4,000 livestock farms and over 17,000 acres of commercial crops were lost. Expert estimates also suggest that by 2030, Guyana could face annual flood-related losses amounting to US $150 million as we continue to experience extreme weather events driven by climate change. These are a few examples that clearly illustrate the need for us to collectively build resilience, such as will enable our region to recover from, or better still yet, withstand such external shocks. And this leads us to the reason that we're here today, that is the pursuit of sustainable investment in order to build resilient economies for Caribbean prosperity. By sustainable investment, we mean investment that focuses on generating long-term value rather than short-term gains, while integrating economical, social, and governance objectives into investment strategies. Such investment fosters economic resilience by promoting stable, sustainable growth over time, and this is the type of investment that we seek. As a region, we are interested in true partnerships with those who seek to become invested in our communities in much more than the financial sense. We wish to attract the investor who is committed to the sustainable development of the countries and communities within which he or she operates and from which they derive value. We seek those who will remain with us through thick and thin, and as we experience those inevitable external shocks that are the reality of our Caribbean existence. In short, we wish to see patient investment which prioritizes long-term returns that emanate from the sustainable, resilient economies that we hope to build rather than cashing in on short-term windfalls. Our ideal investor has a long-term horizon for return on capital as opposed to the infamous quarterly earnings targets, which are manifestly ill-matched to the realities of our economies and our existence. And the possibilities for financially rewarding investment in our region are substantial. We are a region in search of food security, and given our circumstances, as I have just outlined, this must entail some concept of food self-sufficiency. Thus, investment in agriculture production capacity, that is to say, sustainable agricultural production, is an area of high priority for us. In this context, the geographical dispersion, which may tend to be a disadvantage in respect of regional transportation and supply chains, is nevertheless a marked advantage in terms of collective resilience as regards production. To give an obvious example, the southern countries outside of the hurricane belt have the potential to be sources of food supplies to others in time of need. The binding constraint here is investment in the transportation infrastructure. In this regard, we have made a start with the agreement for the commencement of the regional ferry service that will link Guyana, Trinidad, Tobago, Barbados, and possibly Suriname. This service will allow for the timely movement of goods among the participation nations, and as noted by the Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago, the expectation is that the private sector will be instrumental in expanding the service. Our region needs investment in renewable energy for energy security to reduce our current dependence on fossil fuels and to survive the inevitable global transition from them. Thus, investments in solar, wind, and hydropower across the region, as well as geothermal energy, where feasible, are particularly important. All of these initiatives call for innovative approaches. We must innovate to meet the unique challenges that face us as a region. But we should not be daunted by the challenges of innovation, for we are creative, inventive, and innovative people. To delve very briefly into history, Trinidad and Tobago gave the world the steel pan, the only new musical instrument invented in the 20th century. The ubiquitous grapefruit, consumed all over the world, originated as a hybrid in Barbados. Right here in Guyana, local innovations with vacuum pan technology in the 1800s revolutionized sugar production globally and gave to the world Demerara sugar. Yes, Demerara sugar is Guyanese. This sugar was so superior to all others that it was subjected to premium tax in the ports of London, Bristol, and Liverpool. Closer to the topic of our discussions, there is research which suggests that modernization in the Jamaican sugar industry in the late 1800s and early 1900s, through the adoption of the said vacuum pan technology, tended to follow hurricane damage. That is to say, factories in Jamaica damaged or destroyed by hurricanes took the opportunity to upgrade to the latest technologies developed here to maximize their efficiency on rebuilding. So we as a Caribbean people are no strangers to creativity, invention, or innovation. In Guyana, in recent times, our innovative capacity has been manifested in the form of the implementation of our low-carbon development strategy, which has integrated sustainable investment practices into our economic development framework. This strategy has several components whereby, among other things, we seek to, one, develop and grow within a net zero carbon footprint, ensuring inclusive benefits for all citizens, and sustain our ecosystem services for the long term by integrating with the global economy and receiving payments for ecosystem services. To this end, we have actively sought bilateral partnerships with countries that share our vision for sustainable development. Norway is one such country, and the 2029 Guyana-Norway Agreement, one of the largest forest agreements of its kind at the time, exemplifies this approach. Under this agreement, Guyana earned over US $220 million for forest climate services from 2009 to 2015. More recently, we struck an agreement with Hess Corporation, whereby Hess will purchase carbon credits directly from Guyana, totaling a minimum of $750 million US. This agreement aims to support Guyana's forest protection efforts and facilitate investments in improving the lives of its citizens in line with a low-carbon development strategy of 2030. The revenues generated from the forest climate services are invested in various sustainable development projects, including clean energy initiatives, low-carbon job creation, Amerindian land titling, climate-resilient projects such as rehabilitation of infrastructure, and support for small and medium-sized enterprises. Time does not permit me to address all of the areas in which Guyana is pursuing economic resilience and sustainable development. Speaking to our digitalization initiatives, for example, could occupy another 15 minutes. At this juncture, I think it is sufficient to reiterate that the government of Guyana is committed to advancing economic growth and development throughout the region, and that the Caribbean Investment Forum serves as a pivotal platform for realizing this vision. We therefore urge investors, partners, and stakeholders to seize this opportunity to collaborate and innovate for sustainable development in the Caribbean. Together, we must harness the collective power of our efforts to foster resilient economies and to secure a prosperous future for the people of the Caribbean region today and for generations to come. I look forward to welcoming you all to Guyana come July. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Honorable Oneej Walrand, Minister of Tourism, Industry, and Commerce. Ladies and gentlemen, we've made it to my favorite part of the program, where I get a chance to unpack the Caribbean Investment Forum 2024 with a woman who I'm convinced has Guyanese roots. We met for the first time yesterday, and she exudes an aura that is quite familiar. It's the feeling of meeting a distant cousin from overseas. She is Joellen Laurier. She has a really important role at the Caribbean Export Development Agency, and that is Manager Acting of Partnerships, Advocacy, and Reporting. She holds a Master of Arts in Mass Communication and a postgraduate diploma in Digital Marketing. She's worked for renowned brands like Apple, Sony, and Nike, where she successfully led communication initiatives. She's quite passionate about Caribbean development and also equally dedicated to driving strategic collaborations and increasing awareness of the region's potential. Today, she'll help us to further understand what we can expect from the Caribbean Investment Forum 2024. So please put your hands together for her as she joins me here on stage. We're just going to give our technical team a quick second to strike the lectern for us. Thank you so much. Joellen, good morning. How are you today?
I'm very well, thank you very much. The
You look
pressure's
well.
on.
The excitement is certainly on. I think as we've been paying attention to the speeches and all of our presenters so far, it's becoming lucidly clear that the Caribbean Investment Forum is not just another business conference. This is a forum that means business. Tell us a little bit about how the Caribbean Investment Forum differs from other conferences.
Well, correct. It is different from other from other conferences because, it really is an opportunity to do business. And that's one of the key things I want everybody to kind of really take away. You can't come to the Caribbean Investment Forum and come to listen to speeches and say, oh yeah, that was nice, and go home. We are really bringing together the real decision makers, people that are serious about doing business, people that are serious about investing in the Caribbean, and really for them to actually do what is necessary to make the changes that they need to make. And if I give you an example of just from the last two Caribbean Investment Forums, for example, one organization that came to the event wasn't really aware of Trinidad and Tobago too well, not too familiar with the region as a whole, had heard of Jamaica. When he came, he met with a number of IPAs, the investment promotion agencies from across the region, and after meeting with the investment promotion agency from Dominica, they ended up visiting Dominica and ended up opening a actual call center there, providing 250 jobs. I mean, that's what you want to have happen. People that are the right people coming to the event, that are there to make the decisions, connect with the right decision makers, as I say, and do the business. It really isn't a talk shop.
Tell us a little bit about the decision to zero in on those three focus areas for this year's conference. So that's sustainable agriculture, technology and innovation, and green economy transition. Why those key areas?
Well, these are the areas that we believe that are going to really support the transformation of our region. I mean, the overall objective and the goals of the Caribbean Investment Forum are really quite simple. Firstly, we're focusing on those sectors that can support our transformation to a greener and smarter Caribbean. We also are looking to raise the profile of the Caribbean as an investment destination. I mean, the Caribbean has so much to offer to the world as a whole. And, from our location, it's ideally located for investment. It's right in the middle of the Americas. It's got excellent connectivity. It makes a very ideal location because of its proximity and as I say, its connections. We have sunshine all year round, which is, it shouldn't be overlooked. It's actually very welcoming. And also, we have a very strong, working population. We have high literacy rates across the region. We have an excellent university, which is world-class and world-renowned, producing some excellent talent. And so the Caribbean is a fantastic location. And when we talk about things like, broadband, we saw it during the pandemic, right? A lot of digital nomads came to the Caribbean. Why? Because, well, they could still do work here. They could do work 24/7, And it's not just about the digital nomads. It's also, I think we now find that the champagne nomads, right? those that have got the money that want to spend, and they also see an opportunity to invest. And, this is the thing that, the region has so much to offer, and also because of our stability. We are a stable region, and that makes a difference to our investors. So, putting a spotlight on the Caribbean in our international level, the communications campaigns that we do around the Caribbean Investment Forum reach over 1.2 million in the last one, I believe it was, in terms of the communications campaign. We've attracted over 40 investors at the last one. And collectively, they were able to invest, they have the capacity to invest over 400 million, so it's been very effective. And as I say, it's about really building that ecosystem of investment and really spotlighting what we can do as spotlighting what we have to offer in the region for the investors that are coming here.
I love the fact that you're not just encouraging investors to come and set up shop and only explore skilled laborers, but also invest in the brilliant, innovative minds that are present here in the region. Mm-hmm. I love that. Walk us through the format of the Caribbean Investment Forum. What can we expect on the 10th, 11th, and 12th of July?
Yes, so the format for the event is to say we've listened to the feedback over the last two activities, which have both been very highly subscribed, and even for this event in Guyana, the interest has been unbelievable. From the first, it seems like people talk a lot, I think, in Guyana. So even before we've made any kind of announcement, we were already getting telephone calls and emails saying, "I hear the Caribbean Investment Forum is going to be in Guyana." I'm like, how do you know this? We haven't told anybody, So, in terms of the format for the event, we want to make sure that we give people the opportunity to do the business. Whilst, yes, it's certainly important that we have strong plenary sessions with excellent speakers to discuss some of the challenges, just look at some of the opportunities, because that can really help to spur some of the decisions and spark ideas. But then we also want to make sure that there is appropriate time for people to actually do the business. So whether it's the opportunity centers where they'll be able to hold these B2B meetings, or even delve into the project presentations. So the investment projects that will be presented at the event, people will be able to see those, understand them a little bit more, and these investment projects have been fully vetted. These are bankable projects that have, gone through some rigorous review to make sure that they are feasible, that these are solid opportunities, and so it really gives an opportunity for the investors to connect with them, understand more, and these will be projects from across the region as a whole. We also have our leadership roundtable. Now, this is really important because, it's the leaders of our region coming together to talk about, the sustainable development of the region. How can we all work together? We have there's shared objectives, there's things that need to be done, and if we get that buy-in from that leadership level, it trickles all the way down through, and so we're able to. So we're hoping that these conversations that happen, enable people to say, okay, there's a call to action now at the end of this, that we need to go away, and these are the things that we need to put in place. And finally, we also have our investment village and expo. There's an opportunity for businesses to come on board, to showcase what they're doing, and this is another opportunity for you to be able to present your products and your services and share the opportunities that you have and connect with other business people whilst at the event.
Now, we've been made to understand that for persons who might be interested in benefiting from the B2B sessions, they can actually pre-register and get signed up so that they're in front of the investors, decision makers, and other people who can really share pertinent information with them on how to maybe start or even scale their businesses. So is there an app coming? And if so, how can we ensure that we're able to access that app and secure our dates for those sessions?
Yes, there is. So we will have an event app for the Caribbean Investment Forum. So this is really a fantastic way of connecting with everybody that's at the event, because it's only over 3 days. Yeah, the first day we will have our opening ceremony. The second day will be the plenary and the investment villages and also the project presentations and so on. But the app itself will enable you to connect with people, because whilst you're able to pre-schedule those meetings, we understand that there's always going to be meetings that take place kind of on the fly, so to speak, and like, you know, you may be having a coffee and before you know it, you're like, hang on a minute, we need to have another meeting. We need to talk further about this. So the event app will be available for anybody that is registered. So you have to have registered at the event on the website for the event and also be in attendance to be able to have access to the event app itself. But I wanted to just kind of talk about a little bit more about the themes, because I think it's important for people to understand, you know, the themes that we have chosen for the Caribbean Investment Forum is because we want to really, as I say, fast track our sustainable development, our economic transformation in the region. And when we look at things like technology, and innovation, this goes through everything in what we do, not only in the sustainable agriculture, not only in the green economy transition, it's in every single facet of our lives right now. And so this is critical for us. So we're not only looking for investors, we're also looking for, you know, those bright sparks in our communities that are able to, you know, work in the field of AI and come up with a solution to some of those challenges. You know, whether it's fintech, we understand that there's been challenges as it relates to banking within the region and such. So how can we make it seamless? How can we make our integration from a financial perspective to facilitate the trade? Software development, obviously also cloud services and data center services and so forth. And when we're talking about smart agriculture, for example, I think Mr. Maharaj mentioned it earlier on, you know, can we start, you know, farming vertically? You know, why can't we utilize the space more effectively, more efficiently? You know, if we're looking at, you know, controlled environment agriculture where we have, you know, the greenhouses that are controlled in temperature, so we can increase our production yield, we can be more food secure in the region, and then we can also export more of the lovely fruits and vegetables that we actually have in the region that the other people don't get to enjoy as much as we do. And as I say, from the green economy transition, whilst we're looking at, you know, things like resource efficiency, energy security is critical as well. You know, we have to make sure that not only that we have a stable and secure energy supply across the region, and that diversification of energy supply will help us to do that as well. So I mean, these are the three areas that we're focusing on, and I believe that we have had a call for projects out thus far. And actually, we've extended the calls to those that have got projects that are looking for investment of more than $5 million. Then please do submit. Go to the website, to the Caribbean Export website, carib-export.com, to download the information and so that you're able to submit your proposals, and that will give you the opportunity to present those to the investors that are coming to the Caribbean Investment Forum.
Well, we are certainly looking forward to meeting, interacting with the leaders in both the regional and global markets and seeing how together we can make an impact here in the region. Ms. Joellen, is there anything else you'd like to mention before we wrap up our discourse?
No, I mean, obviously, I think, you know, it is a fantastic opportunity for Guyana, for the region, for people that are looking to, as I say, to really transform what they're doing and grow their businesses. As one person mentioned to me before, you know, if there's that piece of the puzzle that you're missing, you know, the Caribbean Investment Forum is somewhere where you'll be able to find that piece of the puzzle that will help to, I say, connect all of the dots, so to speak, that piece of the puzzle that will complete what you're trying to do. And that's, you know, tantamount. That's what we're going to expect at the Caribbean Investment Forum. So I think there was just, you know, once again, thank you to our partners. And again, there's the QR code which you can scan to take you straight to the website where you'll be able to pre-register for the event.
All right, thank you so much. And we will now take a look at our official promotional video for the Caribbean Investment Forum 2024. I hope that has served to really strum up some excitement within you for this year's Caribbean Investment Forum. Ladies and gentlemen, at last year's Caribbean Investment Forum, Republic Bank renewed its partnership with the Caribbean Export Development Agency by signing a memorandum of understanding. This year, the financial giant has once again demonstrated its commitment to bolstering the region's position in the global market by signing on as platinum sponsor for the 2024 Caribbean Investment Forum. At this juncture, we're happy to invite the General Manager of Credit at Republic Bank, Mr. Venus Frith, who's coming to share on why this venture is, in fact, worthy of its continuous financial support. So please put your hands together for Mr. Venus Frith, General Manager of Credit at Republic Bank.
Maharaj, Executive Director, Caribbean Export Development Agency, Dr. Chief Investment Officer and Agency Head, Guyana Office for Foreign and Local Investments, Juan Nadal Sastre, First Counselor, Head of Cooperation, EU Delegation to Guyana, Suriname, and Caribbean Overseas Countries and Territories, members of the Diplomatic Corps, specially invited guests, members of the media, ladies and gentlemen, a pleasant good morning. It is truly my honor to greet you today on behalf of Republic Bank, a proud platinum sponsor of the Caribbean Investment Forum for the third consecutive year. This year, we are thrilled to once again be part of an event that is poised to boldly advance the economic prospects of our beloved Caribbean region. As we know the theme, a bold new Caribbean, sustainable agriculture, and digitalization of green economy transition, we recognize its perfect alignment with Republic Bank's signatory status to the United Nations Principles for Responsible Banking, and by extension, our commitment to helping the Caribbean region work towards the attainment of the UN's 17 Sustainable Development Goals. For us at Republic Bank, this forum ultimately represents an opportunity to support Sustainable Development Goal 17, which is Partnership for the Goals. Indeed, the Caribbean Investment Forum comes at a pivotal time for our region, when we continue to collaborate to navigate the challenges of climate change and work towards building a more resilient and sustainable future. Our commitment to CARICOM's vision of a 25% reduction in food imports by 2025 comes to mind, and the urgency of that 2025 timeline is critical. Through our sponsorship of the Caribbean Investment Forum, we see ourselves taking on a critical role in bolstering a platform where investors, entrepreneurs, private sector, and policymakers come together to explore opportunities, forge partnerships, and drive economic progress in the region. Our objective is to accelerate the potential for goal achievement and meaningfully support viable investment prospects. We are also pleased to have the opportunity to deepen our partnership with the Caribbean Export Development Agency, a partnership that is focused on a shared goal of encouraging sustainable practices and enabling economic activities that create shared prosperity for current and future generations. Against this background, we are certainly excited for the upcoming forum, which promises to feature rich discussions, thought leadership, investment prospects, as well as forging of new partnerships and deepening of existing ones, all with outcomes of propelling our region towards a brighter, greener future, harnessing the power of innovation and collaboration, and driving positive transformation across the Caribbean. Ladies and gentlemen, let's hear it for bold new Caribbean. In closing, sponsoring the Caribbean Investment Forum is not just a business decision for us at Republic Bank, but a strategic investment in the future of our region, a region in which we ourselves have progressively deepened our investment over our 187 plus years of existence, now being present in 13 Caribbean countries. By supporting this event, we pledge our continued commitment to driving economic growth, fostering partnerships, sharing our expertise, and championing sustainable development in the Caribbean region. As the Honorable Minister would have said in closing in her presentation, I wish to take this opportunity to urge all of us to seize the opportunity to make a positive impact and be part of the transformative journey ahead. To our partners at the Caribbean Export Development Agency, thank you for the opportunity to be part of this very important initiative. And to everyone here today, thank you for your kind attention. We look forward to seeing you in July.
Thank you so much, Mr. Frith, and we have to say that we are certainly honored to have Republic Bank on board and continuously supporting this initiative. At this juncture, I'd like to re-invite the Honorable Onij Walrand, Minister of Tourism, Industry and Commerce, to the stage, Mr. Deodat Maharaj, and also a professional who, ladies and gentlemen, has one of the most diverse career portfolios that I have ever seen. This individual has served in the U.S. Air Force, has authored several publications, consulted for NASA, held senior executive roles in Fortune 500 companies, and also now serves as Guyana's Chief Investment Officer at Go Invest, Mr. Peter Ramsarup. They're all coming to facilitate our question and answer session. We're also going to ask Ms. Joellen Larrier to also join us on stage. And at this juncture, if you are a member of the media, a potential investor, exhibitor, or sponsor, we invite you to pose any questions that you may have to our presenters this morning. I see many representatives of the private sector present here this morning as well, and I believe that this is also a great opportunity for you to learn more about the Caribbean Investment Forum from the partners who are responsible for this initiative. So while you gather your thoughts, I'm going to ask Mr. Deodat first. Given the many uncertainties in the global economy, and besides being a supporter of the region, why do you believe the Caribbean is a good investment proposition for investors who are unsure of where to invest?
Thank you so much. Firstly, we are an oasis of stability in the world of crisis, complexity, and multifaceted challenges. Secondly, our location is exceptional. We are well educated, and we are a can-do people. And if there are any skeptics, at the Caribbean Investment Forum in the Bahamas, last October 23rd to the 25th, we had investors managing an investment portfolio of close to 160 billion United States dollars willing to invest in the Caribbean.
Thank you so much. Do we have any questions from our audience this morning? If you have a question, can you kindly indicate by raising your hand?
I think it's a function of the Guyanese hospitality.
Before we are going to ask the minister, as a representative of our government, we know that we exist in one of the fastest growing economies in the world, and we are, of course, really interested in attracting investment to Guyana. How do you believe the Caribbean Investment Forum will aid in the efforts to attract investment opportunities here?
Thank you very much. The government of Guyana, as you know, has been, since 2020, entertained several investors with a view to aiding and assisting with our developmental agenda. We have decided that we will use our oil revenue as the fastest growing economy of the world, largely because of our oil discovery. To diversify our economy. What this means is that we are started to build out the investments in infrastructure, in agriculture, in tourism. And so outside of oil and gas, there are many opportunities available for investors to partner with us in this developmental agenda. The agriculture alone, an entire seminar can be held on the opportunities available in agriculture as we pursue our goal of being food secure. Guyana has had several agreements with our neighbors, so it opens up for investment. The Brazil, Suriname, and the entire Guyanas, including our Caribbean neighbors. So Guyana is a perfect place for this forum to be held, for the continued conversation of opportunities to exist from Guyana. And our president, as chair of CARICOM, and even when he was not chair, has always said that the prosperity of Guyana is the prosperity of our region, the CARICOM region, Guyana is one of the founding members of CARICOM. And so as we prosper and as we look to investment, we pursue it as a family, as a Caribbean CARICOM family. So we don't only speak of investment for Guyana. So right now, yes, Guyana is the fastest growing economy, but we are taking our CARICOM brothers and sisters along with us. And so an investment in Guyana will be an investment in the region for the prosperity of the region. So Guyana has taken the lead to be a world changer as regards energy security, climate security, and food security. And all of those areas and sectors, as we invite and get investment and we build and we develop and we explode in those areas, it will inure for the benefit of our Caribbean countries and neighbors and brothers and sisters as well.
Thank you so much, Honorable Minister. We're going to ask the audience once again, any questions for our speakers? Okay, we do have one question. I'm going to just lend you my microphone. Thank you so much.
I would like to know in more detail what will happen on July 10th and 12th. Will they be exposed to the people doing speeches? Will they be booths? What is going to happen on July 10th and 12th?
Okay, thank you ever so much for that question. So on the 10th, we'll actually start in the early evening for the official opening ceremony, and that's where we will welcome a feature address from the President of Guyana to open the event, and we'll have a cultural showcase to really show what Guyana has to offer. Following that, on the 11th, we will open the plenary at the Arthur Chung Centre in the morning. So the first part of the morning from 9 a.m. up until 12 will be the plenary sessions, and we'll be covering the various topics that are related to the key sectors that we've been discussing this morning. And after lunch, we'll have a lunch break, and then we will go into the opportunity centres and also the project presentation. So on each day in the afternoon, there will be an agenda of projects that will be presented for everybody that's in attendance. And as I would have mentioned before, we will also have the event app where you'll be able to pre-schedule your B2B meetings in those dedicated areas. At the Arthur Chung Centre, if you're familiar with it, we will also have the expo area, which will be open on each day of the event, and that the expo is where businesses will be able to present their products and their services in those particular areas, and also we'll have the opportunity for people to do some showcases within the expo area. That's in the investment villages and expo aspect of the event.
Thank you so much. We'll ask Dr. Ramsarup, as a Chief Investment Officer for Go Invest, for local businesses who might be on the fence about exhibiting at the Caribbean Investment Forum, what would you say to motivate them to participate in this event?
Thank you. Well, as you heard and you dissect the conversation so far, it's a very result-oriented forum under the leadership of Deodat and the Caribbean Export Agency. The local private sector in Guyana have stepped up quite a bit in terms of demonstrating their products, but as they develop their bankable projects, and the investors that are listening outside of Guyana right now in the area, the opportunities, when you hear the minister talked about 25% by 25, you got to ask yourself, what about the other 75% that we will have to solve come 2025? When you hear her talk about the logistics nightmare that is happening around the world, and we talk about resolving supply chain and logistics opportunities, all brings those relevant projects that our private sector needs to step up and be ready to meet with these investors, create your bankable projects, and have that conversation how we can resolve some of the issues we face. And that's why the investment forum, as I said, is result-oriented, and I encourage our private sector in Guyana to step up and be ready.
Thank you so much, Mr. Ramsarup. We're going to close our question and answer session with one final comment from Mr. Dio Maharaj.
Yeah. Oh, thank you so much. For everyone who's joining online and extra-regional investors and businesses, why the Caribbean? People think the Caribbean is being small individual island states. Actually, together with the Dominican Republic, we have a market size of 30 million people. That's one. Secondly, in the year 2019, before COVID, and we are seeing the numbers return, we had over 32 million stay-over tourist arrivals. This is non-cruise ship visitors. So when you look at our market size, you're looking at a market of like 60 million. We have free trade agreements with Canada, with the United States of America, with that lucrative $500 million market in Europe, with Colombia, with Costa Rica, with Cuba. So think the Caribbean as a beachhead to access these markets as well. So people who are here in Guyana, people who are viewing us from overseas, thinking about coming to the Caribbean Investment Forum, think size, think scale, think using the Caribbean as a beachhead to access fantastic new markets. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, and we thank our presenters so much for contributing to our question and answer segment. We have made it to the end of our formal program, and at this juncture, we'd like to invite Mr. Peter Ramsarup to offer closing remarks.
Well, I think we've heard it quite a bit today. I think all of the speakers and the content that was provided really sets the stage for what CIF would look like in July. I would challenge all of us around the world that will be attending to think of the Caribbean, and Deodat said it, is how do we, and we are using the term twinning of products. We are twinning the tourism products with Barbados and other parts of the Caribbean. We've got the agriculture, upwards of $10 billion to resolve. The president of Guyana talks about energy security, climate security, and food security. We're a green economy in Guyana. We're looking at the next set of investments, such as maybe the build out of the EV vehicles in the region, the solar industry. Guyana has silica sand that can move into glass manufacturing. So the opportunities exist significantly. So I challenge all of us again to make sure that coming to it is not, where we will do a lot of speeches. I'm looking forward. Our agency will help facilitate the business opportunities with the other IPAs within the region through the Caribbean Development Agency, Export Agency, and to invite you all. Guyana is the #1 destination in the region. And I'll leave you with one number. We talk about the fastest growing economy. A non-oil economy in 2023 grew at over 11%. So when you're looking at the opportunities outside of the oil and gas industry, 11% growth around the world is significant. And that's why you need to be at this conference. You need to be part of the discussions and be ready to invest, and for the private sector within the region to have your bankable projects ready. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much to our presenters. And of course, thank you for your undivided attention this morning. There's a Guyanese saying that says, if mabin no, always da behind the door, which simply means it's so easy for us to feign ignorance. It's always easy for us to say, I didn't know. Oh, I only heard about it when it wrapped up. Well, we have tried our best this morning to sufficiently inform you about the forthcoming Caribbean Investment Forum. And Mr. Maharaj has reliably informed me that it will in fact be the largest gathering of businesses in the Caribbean region for the calendar year. So that is quite something to anticipate. We now challenge you to share this information with your friends, your family, your followers, and ensure that everyone shows up in their numbers to the Caribbean Investment Forum. We look forward to seeing you on July 10 at the Arthur Chung Conference Centre at 5 p.m. for the opening ceremony, and on all the days following. Remember, if you're interested in getting registered as an exhibitor, a sponsor, or an investor, please head over to the CaribbeanInvestmentForum.com to get registered. Before we wrap up, once again, a huge thank you to our partners, of course, the Caribbean Development Export Agency, the government of Guyana, the European Union, and of course our sponsors, Exim Bank, Trinidad and Tobago, G&A Group, Republic Bank. We've also been reliably informed that the Venture Group and Invest Turks and Caicos are also on board as sponsors, as well as Action Invest Caribbean Incorporated. Thank you all so much for your continued support, and we look forward to seeing you for the Caribbean Investment Forum come July. Thank you so much. If you are joining us virtually, we hope you have a productive remainder of the day. And for those of you with us here at Marriott, we now invite you to enjoy refreshments. Do get to your destination safely. I'm Nuria Gerard. Have a great day.